Welcome to the Bourbon and Brands podcast, where we have simple conversations with successful people over a glass of our favorite brown spirit, bourbon. So the fashion icon that is Franklin Moss is in the studio, man. The king of Fort Worth fashion, at least Fort Worth, maybe worldwide at this point. We're not sure. Dude, just look at you, man. You've got something hanging out of your pocket that I would not be able to wear anywhere on my body. That thing is stylish. That's got more style in it than I do my whole body, and it's just in your pocket. So that's who we're dealing with today. So what's up, man? Thanks for stopping in.
I appreciate being invited.
Yeah, of course.
If I slur my words, it has nothing to do with the drink. It has everything to do with being exhausted.
Has it been a busy week?
Yes.
You're supposed to be off work, you said. You said you're supposed to take a couple of days off, but it's not going too well for you.
Yes. So at the beginning of the month, I said December the 3rd is going to be my last day of work.
Okay.
Like I'm not working after December the 3rd. And then
then here we are on the 21st.
Yeah. So my last day of work is December the 27th.
Okay. All right. We'll see if it sticks.
For the year.
Okay. So speaking of work, man, like kind of what's been fresh? I mean, we'll get into the background, but kind of what's been fresh on the mind? Like what are you working on right now as kind of the new year gets close? You got any cool projects coming up?
So when we were talking about Sunflower Man, so me and Sunflower Man are working on a project. It's jumpers.
Oh, nice.
So we're doing a Fort Worth jumper that has a little hints of Western style to it, but also comfort style, a little bit of the working man feel to it, and also the easy to get dressed type of situation.
Yeah. When you're in a rush in the morning, just throw that on.
Definitely. But and it's supposed to be an homage to Churchill.
Yeah.
Who is an old fashion inspiration. Yeah. And so we've made this based on something he created in the past. And so so it has his signature on it.
That's what you got on now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was going to tell you, so Sunflower Man, I don't know if we want to go into him so soon.
I do. Okay. I'm so curious about this guy, and I don't know how in the world, I seem like the only person in the world that doesn't know who he was, but when you start talking about him, I'm like, man, Sunflower Man sounds like the guy I need to know. So I went right away and started following him. But yeah, tell me, what's he up to?
So basically, I'm gonna start off by just a quick brag, and then we'll go into the details. When we were in Europe, on the streets of Florence, people were coming up to him, recognizing him by name.
Wow.
Yes. But he lives in Fort Worth. He's here because of his wife, who's a Fort Worth native.
Yeah.
He's from Michigan. But basically, just to give you a rundown, he has artwork in the MGM Palace, Caesar's Palace. He's part of the Balenciaga exhibit. He was part of the Balenciaga exhibit, and he also has artwork in the First Opera House.
Wow. And what kind of artwork are we talking about? It's like paintings or like photography or just
paintings. So he's one of the first in his niche, which is menswear art. So he does artwork of men in suits. Okay. Like that's his thing. But he also has done a few other things. But he's pretty dope. So basically, we've lined up and started working together to create, bringing art to fashion in a creative space. And so that was something fun to do.
Yeah. Man. I'm gonna have to meet him. Hey, maybe he's a future podcast visitor, man. That'd be cool to have him on in here because he sounds like he's got a crazy story. But listen, your story is no less exciting because just hearing about how you're a Fort Worth born and bred guy on the east side,
definitely
coming up, and how you got into the fashion kind of niche and found your own passion there is a cool story to me. So let's back it all the way up to that point. You know, you're a youngster, and I think you said something about your parents. Not that they couldn't afford to go and get you nice clothes, but they was Goodwill shoppers.
They were,
and not just. They were good Goodwill shoppers. Like my mom goes into Goodwill, she's just looking and just picking random colors, but they were getting you like really high-end name brand stuff at Goodwill.
So when I say this, I'm gonna try to make sure that they don't sound bad, but they were very good thrift store shoppers.
Yeah.
But I also wore some of their stuff too. And so when I say that, and this is what's gonna make them sound bad. My father had like Dior ties. He had he just had high-end clothes as well. So he's always been in a very well off position because of his experience in his job at the time. But he wanted to make sure that I wasn't so like influenced. Right. Like this is, he came from a humble beginning, and he wanted to make sure that I kept that same feel.
That makes sense.
So, but they also wanted to make sure I looked good in a sense, outside of allowing me to dress myself.
Right.
At the age of 6 or 7. And we've all seen that before. Yeah. Colors does not mean a thing.
Right. So, hey, that's where your style comes out, man. And that's the cool thing about it is, because kids at that age, you know, I feel like parents need to take that approach, because kids, they're influenced by brands so often. I mean, I remember growing up, and if I didn't have Jordans on, I played sports. So if I wasn't wearing Jordans, then I was nothing. You know, I was just, you know, some poor kid, which I couldn't afford Jordans. My parents got me, if on a good Christmas, Reebok pumps, you know?
Yeah.
And on the bad Christmases, it was LA Gears. I don't know if you remember the ones that.
No, I do. And those
that's what I was wearing.
Those are still name brands.
I know.
So I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
So, you know, kids are so influenced by that, you know, what you got on. And so, so fast forward a little bit, where did you start to kind of identify your own style and really take a pride in the way that you dressed, even to school and even at that young age?
So, okay. And it's a bit of a story, but it makes sense in the end. So just to start off too, I didn't get my first pair of name brand shoes until the 8th grade, but I got them from Payless. So they were Nikes that I got from Payless, first name brand. So we moved from there. But speaking on name brand, that was one of the issues that I've always had. In high school, I thought name brand was super important. So this is something that kept me trying to get Tommy Hilfiger, trying to get Nautica, trying to get
Ralph Lauren,
Polo. Like those were the clothes that everybody wore. Yeah. So that kept us all in pretty much the same box and looking exactly the same, right? But as I got closer to college, and what made me kind of step away was my father told me one thing for my prom: don't get a flashy suit. Don't get a flashy suit for prom, because it won't last. It'll be old. And what I did, I went and got a flashy suit, because that's what we did. We got suits that stood out, that was similar to everybody else, but still stood out in some form. Yeah. But when I got a job, there was a company. What was the company that came out? Iceberg. And then they had like and then Fubu and Platinum Fubu, right? And all that. Yeah. So Platinum Fubu had the Fat Albert apparel that had just dropped. So what I said was, I'm gonna work and I'm gonna get some clothes, some Fat Albert shirts. So what I did was I went to a store, I got Fat Albert and put it on layaway. Yeah. And I paid for it for a month or two or however, I don't know how long it took. But by the time I paid it off, and I got it, and I was like, this is mine. I'm about to start rocking this. Fat Albert was out of style. And it only took months.
Look at that luck.
And so at that moment, I started realizing my father has always told me, stop worrying about brands, stop worrying about like things that are not going to stay in style. Start thinking about the things that will, or things that can last for a period of time. So at that point, I kind of went back to what my parents taught me with, was thrift store shopping. So I went back to thrift store shopping. I tried to find really nice clothes that had no brand showing on them at all, because my thing was, I'm no longer wearing brands. Okay. Because people can't judge you based off of if it's hot or not. Yeah. They just know if it looks nice or not. Right. So at that time, thrift store shopping, I had to start being creative and putting my own style and look together. Right. So I would have anybody, I don't even know what's what, but it would be a very nice polo. It'd be a pullover vest or a very nice cardigan or just something, and I'd grab it from everywhere and just make these looks that would just fit me.
Yeah, and they were unique.
And they were unique. Right. And I didn't look like anybody. So saying that, coming from the Eastside of Fort Worth, Stop 6, while they were still wearing extra large shirts and large shirts, I understood the fact that I didn't want anybody else to fit in my clothes at the same time I'm wearing them.
Right.
So I started wearing my actual size, medium and small, some stuff. And so I used to get made fun of on the streets, on the blocks.
Yeah.
But they still respected me because my style was different.
Right.
So that's where I started creating it and moving into my own look.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. And I mean, to the courage it took, obviously, to branch out and do that. But man, just to imagine you rolling into school with everybody wearing these clothes that's 2 or 3 sizes too big, and you just come in there just dapper looking, coming in with a style of your own, you know.
That part was after school. That was after that, when I started really getting an understanding of my actual style.
Yeah,
that was after college.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, and we talked about this earlier, Distinguished Gentlemen, the group, which was created in our high school that gave us the opportunity to dress up on Tuesdays.
Okay. Yeah. Tell a little bit more about that, because I find that pretty interesting too.
And so there was a group that was created at Dunbar High School called Distinguished Gentlemen. And the whole goal was to make sure that we knew how to dress well, knew about pocket squares, knew how to tie a tie, knew what to wear, what was interview ready, all these different things. But what we did was we dressed up every Tuesday and we came to school
with a suit on, something like that.
And with that was me learning how to wear suits in a sense, but still not creating my own style, because these are clothes that my parents picked out too.
Right.
You know, I'm in high school, so I really didn't have full access to start building and creating my own style. So
was that group created by other students, or was that by a teacher, or who created that group?
It was
do you remember?
Mr. Tate, who was a
he was just trying to get to educate along the way.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha.
But what happened was there was Distinguished Gentlemen and Sophisticated Ladies. And so by having these groups, we were almost like the first to go to, because we knew they knew that we wanted to excel and be more in the school.
Yeah.
And it was a process to become a Distinguished Gentleman. Like, we had to go through interviews and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
for
man.
The most part.
That's cool. And so after college, I mean, where did the music come in? Because I know you have a history as a music artist as well. So where did that come in, and how do you think the style and everything kind of goes with that? I mean, it seemed like 2 and 2 go together.
Well, it's interesting. So I started rapping in 2001, my sophomore year in college. Mm-hmm. And it started with me and a group of my friends. And at that time, we all, so we're in college.
Yeah.
And I still rapped about fashion and style and looking good, because in college or in life, men dressed up nice to look good for women.
Right.
So that was the whole reason I pushed it. But at the time, I mean, I still had a unique style. I still had this New York. I tried to dress more New York, because that was the music that I listened to. Uh-huh. But I still wore. It's interesting. I rapped about dressing very nice. I rarely dressed nice in college because we wore sweats all the time. You know how college is.
Yeah.
But that's when I started developing a topic that I could actually rap about, and that made me. I'm a natural researcher in a sense. Like, that's why Doctor Strange is my favorite Marvel comic person. But I research different styles. I research different labels and designers. So I made sure that what I could actually rap about, what I really knew about. I couldn't rap about drugs or shooting and being a gamer, because I was neither one of those things.
Right.
But I rapped and learned about fashion, and that is something that kind of, I can say, it started me on my path of fashion completely, because I started finding a reason to do the research and learn more about brands and learn more about looking good without actually wearing the brands that I can't afford. Right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, man. So where did you go to college? Was it a Texas school?
I graduated from Prairie View A&M University.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
And so after graduation, tell me about your transition into business and kind of thinking about, taking your passion into the business world and how that transitioned. You kind of realizing that there's a career to be had. There's a brand to develop there, because I'm curious how Franklin and Anthony came to be, and that whole transition into rapper, college student, graduated out, now what's next? So kind of piece that together.
Well, it's a bit of it's interesting. So when we started the record label originally in 2001, it was started by Troy Washington. And the record label was called Supreme Records. Okay. And so we went and made it official as we thought it was. And we went and started creating this business. But in this time of the business in 2005, I became part owner of the business. Mm-hmm. And so that's what really started me on my entrepreneur journey, and creating a brand and understanding everything we put out. We need to start pushing a brand, like an actual name behind it. Right. And so with that, we weren't a small label. Like we had 17 artists.
Oh, really?
At one time.
Mainly Texas artists, or
mainly Texas artists. Yeah.
In hip hop?
In hip hop.
Okay.
So we had music on the radio and on the Gulf Coast, city, Gulf, and then nationally. Yeah. And we worked with artists from all over, from Diamond from Crime Mob, Pimp C, Paul Wall. We did a few. It was a lot of artists too that we've worked with, but I can't remember everybody.
So was Paul Wall on the label, or you just worked together?
We did a song. We did songs together. So okay. Paul Wall wasn't on the label, but we knew Paul Wall because we were at his club. We worked at his club, and he used to buy car parts from one of my friends who was also on the label, but that was a long time ago. Yeah, but I was a Paul Wall fan back in the day. I was too. Paul Wall and Chameleonaire. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Color Changing Click. And and so just building this label and having an understanding of how to manage artists, how to create their brand, their name, their titles. I can say that we understood that we were working these 9-to-5s on the side as well, but we wanted to always work for ourselves. Right. And I graduated from Prairie View with a business management degree, so I tried to use that to push myself and push the label and try to keep practicing the same practices. Yeah. But from that, we had an artist called B Hamp at the time, and he dropped a song called Ricky Bobby. Uh-huh. And due to Ricky Bobby was like hot. Right, so he went to 106 in Park. He went to MTV. That song, yeah. So he went under we moved him under the label of the management of Ricky Booker. And Ricky was a very knowledgeable individual. So he wanted to manage me at the time. And he was like, hey, I want to manage you as a person and not as a rapper, because he said, I don't know what to do with you as a rapper. Because again, I told you, I dress like an East Coast rapper or person. I rap like an East Coast rapper too. Yeah. So this is I would say this is the first of the 360 conversation. Yeah. Back then, and this is like 2011, but maybe 2013. And he said, but what I want you to do is I want you to start getting into fashion shows, because nobody's working the fashion world. There was no Jadena at the time. There was no Joey Badass. There was no who else does fashion as a rapper?
I mean, other than Kanye. The New York, other than the New York guys, Jay and those guys was in.
But Jay wasn't really into fashion back then. He was big T-shirt still, and Kanye was Polo Don. Right. So, I was trying to move into a world to where I would be like Mr. Fashion Guy completely. Yeah. And so that's what I started doing. I went on Facebook and I just said, okay, I'm gonna be a fashion show host, because that's what he told me to do, host fashion shows. So I put on there, and then that same week that I posted it on there, I got a call to host a fashion show. Really? Yes.
Where at?
It was in Arlington. Okay. It was a small fashion show, but it really wasn't small. I say small, but it was grand. Like, it was really, really, really nice. And so I hosted the fashion show, and then at the same time, I asked them, can I perform while the designers walk some of the models out? Mm-hmm. So I had a song called Fashion Fresh, and so I would perform the song while the artists would walk out. I mean, the models would walk out. But working in that world, that led me into wanting, and I told you I'm a researcher, and as being a researcher, the best thing to do is to kind of get involved. So I understood that I want to penetrate the fashion world, so I have to start building a network. It's a network. Network. So I started volunteering for everything, anything. So I would go on social media, I would research for whatever's coming up, whatever fashion show, and I would network, and I would still host, and I would still volunteer to be a stylist, a light person. I did media, I did anything. Like I even worked the door. Like I did everything that you could do. And by doing that, that kept pushing me toward more people that would make me a host or make me a stylist in the background. But the stylist came after a few issues that happened. Not bad issues, but just people not showing up. And then they were like, Frank, you dress well. Can you do it? And I was like, for sure I can do it. I can do everything. I can host, I can style, and I can perform during the middle. So we did that, and it was just me getting involved and getting in there. And from there, I ran into another stylist who it was known in Fort Worth, named Anthony, and we came. He asked me to start a suit company, and I started a suit company called Franklin and Anthony. And that's where I am now.
Man, so these suits that you're making, they're truly custom, right? You don't have like a storefront with a bunch of suits in there. It's kind of individual. It's a process where 100%. You really build a suit for that person, about that person. So a guy like me, because I would love to get a suit made.
I got you.
So what would the process look like, from start to finich? How are you going to make a tall, weirdo looking dude like me look good in a suit? What's the process going to look like?
All right. So from start to finish. All right, Wes, what we would do is we would say, first off, I would say, let's set up a consultation.
Okay.
I'd have Dominique, my assistant, my amazing assistant, give you a call.
Okay.
We'd set up a time and date.
Yep.
You would come in. We would drink whiskey.
Okay, I'm there already.
Or champagne or wine or beer or water, sparkling water, whatever.
Yeah.
And we'd have a conversation, and I get to know who you are while simultaneously looking at fabrics, like just straight fabrics. And it gives you the opportunity to figure out, we have a conversation on what you're trying to do. Like, are you trying to get a business suit, casual suit, weddings, an event, whatever. And we would find a fabric that fits what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And from there, we start building the suit together, like choosing the stitch on the sleeves, the stitch of the buttons, the stitch of the actual suit. Like, we do everything. Like we decide what type of pockets you want, what type of lapel you want, what type of how you want the suit constructed, whether it's. And now I was going to get into
like what color the buttons. Like, for example, your pearl snaps are purple.
They are purple pearl snaps.
Yeah,
and so this is that Western feel that I was telling you about. Yeah.
So everything down from the button to the thread to the inside of the jacket to
how it's made. Like if we're doing full canvas, half canvas, fused, deconstructed. Like it's completely based on how you want this suit created and what the event is for, and when are you wearing it. So. We create it for you, like, and 100% you. From the lining can be completely custom.
Yeah.
To if you're like me, you could put a picture of yourself inside of your suit.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have a suit with your picture on inside.
I do have. I do have a few suits with pictures of me inside.
That's when you know it's a truly custom suit right there. You're gonna have to, man. So what's that journey been like for you? What's the process of finding clientele for that, because it's a specific clientele that has the money to afford something like a truly custom suit. So what does your marketing look like? What's like kind of your business approach to meeting clients, those relationships, and how that process starts?
So if we're talking about from a business standpoint, in all honesty, the beginning of it, and I have to go to the beginning because I have to realize how it started. It started with me creating something for myself.
Yeah.
And then being the brand, the billboard for my company. So me wearing myself, and then people saying, hey, I love what you're wearing, or just me having an old reputation of dressing very well, and people trusting me just off of being a good stylist or just dressing well, and saying, "Hey, Frank, I want to look like you," which is interesting to say. I don't know why, but and so that's how it all started. It started from just me posting on social media and people coming in and saying, "I love your look. I want to look like that.
How do I do it?"
And so I would go to them. At first, I was going to people's houses. Then I was going to hotels, lobbies, and then I was going to coffee shops. And that's where I did my consultations, meeting clients that were based on me posting on social media, me going out and about, and me having really good customer service with my clients.
Right.
From there, my clients continued to talk and tell other people.
Right.
I continued to brand myself and be the billboard. And I kept getting referrals.
And that's the cool thing about your type of industry is your product is your billboard.
100%.
And so it's the same thing with a company that I part own with Anthony here is Tormax Real Estate Media. And it's been around for 7 years.
Yeah.
And we haven't done a lot of marketing. And that's because every photo shoot we do for an agent or a home builder or whatever, Airbnb, it gets blasted out on MLS and every other agent sees it and they, it's free advertisement. They're like, man, who did those pictures? And then it kind of creates that. Now, there is a downside to that is that you begin to rely on that just referral base and everything like that. That what we realize is that that'll get you to a point and you start to plateau. And then there's this need for marketing to come in. And so that kind of brings up the photo shoots and stuff that you're doing and bringing in Sunflower Man and bringing in some pieces that's going to help with that marketing aspect of bringing in.
Well, I'll say this.
Tell that story.
So I'm going to be honest with you. The stuff that I'm doing now, like with Sunflower Man, that's really just fun. Like I'm not even doing it for marketing or push anything like that. It's because I have a real love for art.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's photography, culinary, painting, or fashion. And I know it's some more out there that I'm missing, but y'all know who you are. But either way, I have a real passion for art in general. And so sometimes I feel like I'm blessed to be in a space to where I'm able to express that and put that out there and get people to appreciate it and see. Matt's a good friend of mine. That's Sunflower Man.
Yeah.
And so because he's a good friend of mine, I really feel like more people should see his work.
Right.
So I would love to I put it on my art. I put it on my art.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
playing off each other and really helping to tell each other's story, get it out there.
Right.
And so social media is a big part of what you're doing.
It is.
What other, like, have you been in, I know you've been in some magazines, some different stuff. So what else, have you had the honor of kind of being a part of as far as your brand getting out there? Other platforms.
So, yeah, I mean, yes, I'm trying to, so there's something I want to say too. Like my business is really based on referrals. Like social media gets me business, but referrals is where I really get a lot of my business.
Right.
And I know you said the plateau thing, but I don't feel like I've plateaued. Like every year I've grown and I've continued to grow every year. And I just feel like more doors are continuing to open. And I've been told by a few people from other suit companies that they don't understand how I continue to thrive so hard off of social media. But it's not social media. It's me giving people a great experience when they get a suit made.
Oh, heck yeah.
Making sure that they're really happy and them being happy and then just telling somebody else.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to get to an exclusive situation to where like, and I'm always trying to figure out the best way to say this, but when working with me is exclusive. I have clothiers that work under me or for me, because under me is not correct. They work beside me, but working with them is just as good, but working with me is better.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to create this exclusivity thing.
Yeah.
But there are brands and companies. So like Fort Worth Magazine, can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fort Worth Magazine putting out articles about the things that we've done, or winning Best Tailor in Fort Worth in 2019 and Best Men's Boutique in 2021 and Best Dressed in Fort Worth in 2021.
Yeah.
And then Dallas Morning News winning Best Men's Boutique in Fort Worth 2021. Like winning those things have really pushed me and helped me as well. Articles from D Magazine, from the Black Dandies, which is another organization we created that really did help with marketing. Yeah. But Black Dandies is, I don't know. You want to go into that right now, or you want to wait?
Oh, but whatever, man. I'm just curious. Okay. Like, I'm loving it, man. You're crushing it, dude. Oh, that's the I love the opportunity for you to get. I mean, that's what this whole podcast is about: is to get people in here and to talk, just talk about the life experience, man. Yeah, we need to get into the whiskey too, by the way. Though. So today, when I reached out to you about jumping on the show, you mentioned Knob Creek being one of your favorites that you want to really expand on a little bit.
Well, Knob Creek. So I'm gonna say this: Knob Creek is not my favorite. Well, in all honesty,
right.
But I haven't had enough Knob Creek. But Knob Creek has today.
It's creeping up there.
Yeah, it's creeped.
What I lined up for you today was we got the Knob Creek single barrel over there. Mm-hmm. We've got the 15-year, and I don't have their like traditional release, the 9-year, but we got the rye here as well. Just to give us a few options. A little quick history note on Knob Creek is that it's a Jim Beam product, and Jim Beam's grandson Booker Noe kind of resurrected Knob Creek in 1992, and Knob Creek, the label, was actually created in 1898, one of those 2 years, but it was just nobody knew about it. It's just kind of it needed the resurrection, and that's what the Jim Beam family did and brought back Knob Creek. And so Knob Creek is an amazing product. Nothing is less than 9 years, so it's one of the best bourbons coming out of Kentucky for sure. Do you know what the Knob Creek is? Knob Creek, as far as like that actual body of water, what that refers to?
No.
So it is a creek that ran through Abraham Lincoln's childhood home. It was called the Knob Creek. And so his childhood home was called the Knob Creek Place. And so it's kind of a nod back to Kentucky, back to obviously Abraham Lincoln. So really cool history to it. And it's not, I mean, from 1992, so it's not an old brand by any means, but they're doing a lot of things right. And that single barrel over there is probably one of my favorite bourbons in my collection. As far as I picked that up as a store pick at a store called Frugal McDougal in Nashville last year when I was there, and so it's going to be hard to replace that, but it's good.
It has some good flavor on it. That last sip I had, I had to close my eyes on it.
Well, pour yourself some more, man, and let's keep enjoying the Knob Creek. But one thing I'm curious about is your family. You're married. You got 2 boys, right? I'm just envisioning your 2 boys going to school looking like little GQ models out of a magazine. Is that what you do with them, or do they have you give them their own dress yourself like you did when you was growing up?
So yes, my youngest, he dresses himself.
Okay.
And my wife hates it, so he always has.
Do you shop at Goodwill for him? Or?
No, okay. We don't, and she would never let that happen. But he wears sweats.
I think that's a good lesson to learn, man. I think every kid should spend their first 10 years being dressed from Goodwill by their parents.
But no, I can agree, but she wouldn't.
Yeah, I understand.
So basically when he gets dressed, he puts on sweats, and they're always the worst sweats that he has. So the ones with holes in the knees, and tore up and discolored in different places. Yeah. And so she always yells at me when he gets dressed, but that's Frankie. Now Micah is the oldest. He's the soccer player, basketball player, and he dresses like a soccer player or a basketball player, just any given day.
Depending on the season,
yeah. But suit, no. The youngest one actually just asked for a suit, which was interesting.
Okay.
He's 6.
So I'm assuming you're going to make it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Well, yes. Target, Target has some good kid suits too.
Right.
And
but they don't have their face on the inside.
No, they don't. No.
You're going to have to put the kid's face in there.
Because the last one he had what is that, Roblox?
Yeah.
Had Roblox toys inside of it, like
inside
in the lining.
Suit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and
my kids would like that.
Yeah, and then my oldest, his last suit had Fortnite in the inside, but now he doesn't play Fortnite.
Yeah, and those were suits you made, or
yeah,
those? Okay,
yeah. Nice. I made camo suits for both of them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I saw the camo suit jacket you had, and that. Oh man. Yeah. That's right up my alley too, right there. I'm gonna have to.
I've had a few people.
Is that a limited edition, or is that something that can be recreated?
I always recreate it.
Okay.
I wear camo. I make myself camo trousers all the time because I love camo pants.
Yeah.
And jackets.
Yeah.
But I love to just wear the pants. So,
dude, we're gonna have to collaborate on some camo because I love to hunt, and I think it'd be hilarious to do a photo shoot out in the woods with a camo suit on.
It would
just be hunting with a camo suit.
You would end up looking good.
I know.
If you're trying to be hilarious. I'm telling you.
That's what I'm saying. I think that could be viral material.
I think so.
Nothing like that, but. So tell me a little more about your family. You got one into soccer, right? And your wife, she's a little entrepreneur herself. What's she up to?
She has a coffee shop called Black Coffee.
Okay.
Black Coffee FW. It's off of Rosedale and Vaughn, right across the street from Texas Wesleyan.
Okay, yeah.
She's has an amazing coffee shop. One best coffee shop in Fort Worth from Fort Worth Weekly and Fort Worth Magazine.
Really? And there is a lot of good coffee shops. That's amazing.
But one for 2020 and 2021.
Wow.
So
2 tough years for coffee shops too.
Yeah, but she started in the pandemic.
Right.
3 months before the pandemic hit. November, and then the pandemic hit in March. She made it through.
Man, so she that had to be a hit though. As far as like just, I'm gonna open this coffee shop. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be right here across from the college kids.
It's been
and then boom.
It's been a lot of good things happen. So like, I forgot his name. What's the drummer from The Roots? Do you remember him?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. The dude with the big afro. I don't know his name.
So he tweeted about Mia's coffee shop. My wife. Mia.
Really?
He also then Kirk Franklin did a video there.
Really?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a video there, and then she's just had a lot of good people come through.
You need to make a suit for Kirk Franklin, actually. I think that'd be a good client.
So here's the funny thing, right? So there's a guy named Siraj. No. There's a guy named Enzi. And Enzi had a custom suit. Well, he had a suit company off of Little Road, but he retired this year, 35 years. But before, I used to go to him all the time. He was like a mentor to me.
Yeah.
And when I used to go to him, he used to call me Little Kirk Franklin. Because he's like, you wear your pants tight like Kirk Franklin and you're little. And I was like, okay, yeah. But then Kirk Franklin had came in the same day I was there because he makes suits for Kirk Franklin. He's made suits for baseball, football, Obama, like for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so President, I don't know, which President, yeah, you do call him President Obama. And so he made suits for them. And when Kirk came in, he was just like, Moss.
Yeah.
He changed. He stopped calling me Kirk Franklin.
Right.
He started calling me Moses, actually.
Okay.
So he switched my name to Moses. I know that's a random story. Right. I just wanted to tell
No,
it.
I like it, man. Now, one thing that you always think about is with style that you got to be careful with, and I know that this is probably something you think about a lot, is what you experience as a kid is the pressure that comes along with style. As a kid feeling like, or a young person growing up, is feeling like they have to adapt to a certain style. Right. And so I'm curious to know what you would say and what you do say to young people. Because I've got a daughter who's into modeling now, so she, feels like, there's obviously that temptation to feel like you got to look a certain way, you got to, be a certain shape, and you gotta conform to a certain style, And so the thing I love about your story is, as a young person growing up, is that you didn't really conform to a style per se. You kind of just paved your own little way. And so what advice do you give to young people as they, come in contact with you, as far as like, what's your number one advice to them when it comes to their style?
So my advice in regards to style to our young kids and future entrepreneurs, right, is basically you can only be you. You're just you. You can't be nobody else. You can pretend to be, but it's just you pretending to be somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So with that, you have to be you. You have to understand what you like is unique. And the only way that your style will ever make it, or the only way that you will make it, is for you to believe in who you are and to walk in confidence in however you look, regardless, and whatever you feel that style is. So in regards to children, like, people will always make fun of stuff. That's just what people do. Social media has proven that everybody makes fun of everyone.
Yeah, there's haters everywhere.
Yeah, it don't matter where you are. There's somebody making fun of it. So just be who you are and walk in your lane. Hold your head high and literally just appreciate who you are. Even if you don't, you have to find the uniqueness and the love in whatever you're doing, right? And that also goes for entrepreneurs who are starting something that they feel like everybody is doing. You have to understand that you're unique in what you're doing. You're doing this. So your imprint is always going to be different. Even though there might be thousands of other brands the same way, or thousands of you the same way, they're not the same because they're not you. Your imprint is always different.
Yeah.
So
that's good, man.
You just have to have the confidence, because the difference is, I learned, and my problem is I unite. I connect everything to game, because I used to be a player back in the day, right? The only way to win is to be confident in everything you do. Like, you can be a complete clown, but if you be a clown in confidence, like, people will be amazed and they'll think this is your job. Like, clowns that we see at the Westerns or wherever we see clowns, like, we know they're a clown, but we hire them and we appreciate them because they're being who they are.
Yeah, and they're good at it.
And that's the thing. You have to be who you are regardless of how you look, and just stand in that and be confident in it, because women will always love you if you're just confident. People will love you if you're confident. Doesn't matter what you do or how crazy you look. If you fall down a flight of stairs and you get up confident, they're gonna think you might did it on purpose.
No, man. And one thing I've always wondered, I want to get your idea on this, is there a difference between confident and cocky? And if there is a difference, what is the difference? In your mind, is there a difference between the two? In my mind, there kind of is, but I'm not really sure how to pinpoint it. Or what I would probably say is, someone who's confident believes in what they already have. Okay. So, because they're sure. Right. So if I said, I'm confident that it's 5:12 right now, is because I believe that my clock is right. My watch is right. So I believe in what I have. And if I'm cocky, it's almost like I'm fabricating something that I think is real, but may or may not be real about myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm almost taking that plus elaborating it into something that it may or may not be, and making myself look like somebody I'm not. And maybe that's just my own personal battles that I went through at a younger age, is just trying to be cocky. And when you become cocky, you start to say and look and do things that aren't completely who you are anymore.
100%.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I think there is a difference between confident and cocky. I think the line is thin at times. I've looked at myself while I was feeling cocky or confident, and I looked at myself and I was like, man, I'm being a bit of a cocky. Is it okay to cuss? I don't know. A bit of an asshole, right?
Okay.
But I am an asshole, so I'm confident in that, and so I'm okay with it. So, but at the same time, in the end, I know this sounds weird to say, but in the end, it doesn't matter how confident and non-cocky you are. There's always somebody that's going to feel a certain type of way about you. So I don't know. I feel like it's all in the eye of the beholder, because me being confident and not cocky can always come off to somebody else as me just being
So what do you? I'm curious about what your thoughts are on the direction that you think fashion's going, because when I think about it, which is, I'm again preface this with somebody who's not in the fashion industry whatsoever. I'm the least fashionable person probably ever, but I think that used to, decades ago, these different regions of the United States, go to California, Texas, New York City, for example, they kind of had their distinct styles, right? And with I think it's due to the emergence of social media and people seeing what's out there in other areas and be like, man, I like the way that looks. And now everyone's styles kind of coming together to where you could fly out of LA and touch down in Dallas, and then you could fly out to New York and see the similar styles. Right. So what's your thoughts on kind of the direction that fashion's going?
So from what I've seen personally, so I'm answering this as a person from Fort Worth, Cowtown, right? And also as an individual that's seen fashion from all over the world. Fashion is, in certain areas of menswear, moving backwards to some of the old traditions. Like in 2020, double bred, well, 3-piece suits were supposed to be coming back, but 3-piece suits with a double-breasted suit, open jacket. And that was the style that was supposed to be moving into the era. It was just some older styles. Fashion, from what I've seen, from like Leon Bridges moving into the 70s. We're starting to move into 70s more. Something I've heard recently that the gay community is starting to use to wear more matte satin or more silky shirts again. So we're going into silk shirts again. But fashion will continue to evolve, and even though it might look like it's blurring, culture is forever going to be in play, and because of that, we'll always have that uniqueness, the distinctions between, just like Western wear. You won't see that change regardless. Now, it might grow in regards to, you don't see that many men wearing boot cut as much as you used to. But I know that kind of exited a while ago, boot cut, but people are starting to move into different phases of Western wear, more, not so much casual, but I've seen more of because Fort Worth is different, but I'm trying to think of Western. They're moving more into a suit, but still has little characteristics of that. Right, yeah. But in Fort Worth, we still do jeans, and we still would do a blazer. Same thing. Right. But because of culture, we'll never phase out to a blurred state. California will always be mimicked all over the world. Right. Because once California was Dickies and house shoes. I don't know if you remember that, right? Yeah. And that became Fort Worth. Right. And that became what the world did, was Dickies and house shoes. But California will forever be their thing, and we'll just be mimicking it. Yes. Yeah. New York still has Timbs. They never stop wearing Timbs in New York. Right. We wear Timbs. Few people wear Timbs, but they have their own uniqueness still. Right. Yeah. So even though some of the styles are looking to be blurred, they're still setting their own cultures, and we're just grabbing them and trying to do what we can, but we still have our own culture as well. So my, if that made sense. No, yeah, I think totally, because like you said, culture is always going to be culture. But with the advancement of technology and social media, cultures start to influence other cultures a lot more than they used to, because they're there now. And I think that everybody wants to say that I have my own style, right? Everybody wants to say that. Oh, I just do what I want to do. I'm me, and I this self thing, which everybody should try to do that. But as soon as they see somebody else like that they respect and love and is a role model to them have something that they don't have, they want that. Right. And it's just like an influential thing. 100%. And the influencer, not to even mention the influencer movement that took off 5 years ago. That's just like, I hate that word even in myself, but just people being paid to try and influence other platforms of people is just a reality of the world we're in. Well, that's the funny thing. Influencers are just people who are mimicking something that they've seen too. Right, exactly. So in the end, they're not. Are they really influencing anybody? Right. So one of the things about me, I've heard a lot that I have my own unique style. Yeah. I don't know about any of that. I don't know if I do. Right. I do not try to mimic anybody. I do not try to look like anybody. I just try to get dressed in the morning. And that's an accomplishment. That's pretty much it. Yeah. But I do have I do have, and this is, I know it's not all about me, but I'm saying I do have something that they call sprezzatura, which is a word in the menswear fashion world. And that means I am able to throw on anything and look like I planned it out.
Okay. Yeah.
So with that, I do have some form of uniqueness because I just literally throw clothes on before I go to whatever fashion show, photo shoot. I should plan. I don't. It's just life.
Right.
It's okay. But influencers, a lot of them do go on people's pages, look at people's pages, try to figure out how to look like them and create a style of their own, which is not their own, and put it out. And people are influenced, but everybody's just recycling. Basically what I'm trying to say. But because everybody is staying and focused on their own culture, everybody is still being influenced by their own culture. Like you have people who have skater looks. The only people the skaters are influencing are normally skaters,
right? Because
of the algorithm that has been created by social media. They allow you to see what they want you to see, which is what they deem important to you. But with the way technology is going in NFTs.
Oh yeah.
Nike having this new thing to where they're creating NFT outfits and wear. And that's, I think with that, technology is going to make a big change in fashion world, but at the same time not. It's going to start boxing people in, and my guess is it's going to start boxing people in.
And that's the crazy thing is when you look at kind of what Zuckerberg's up to with the metaverse, right? To where the goal is for all of us to be connecting virtually. Okay. So it doesn't even matter what we physically have on. It's like, what do you want to have on?
Right.
And you just pick an outfit. This one's $20. This
what
one's
outfit
$12.
did you buy?
You tap on this and tap on this, and all of a sudden you look like you want to look. Oh, you want different color eyes? Tap on this for 99 cents. And over here, to where we interact with each other basically as our best versions, or what we think is our best version of ourselves. And that's kind of scary because, especially for people in the fashion industry and in the other industries where, the message is to go and connect with people face to face, and to be your best version of yourself face to face. And so, does Franklin and Anthony have any NFT suits out there? And if so,
well, actually they'll be coming out in January.
Okay, good. I want to know more about the NFT suits.
So
how do you get fitted for one of those virtually?
There's no fitting.
Okay.
That's what makes it easy.
You pick what size you want to be.
It's crazy. It's all crazy. But the most interesting thing is, as a entrepreneur, I'm thinking about that. Yeah. Like, what does that look like for my business? What does that look like for Black Coffee? What does that look like for Franklin and Anthony? Like, what do these things look like with the world moving into a metaverse or a place of this?
Right.
And in the end, I have a niche business.
Yeah.
I feel kind of safe, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Just because the experience I provide, people can't get that on social media. It's a real life experience, something you have to go through. Like, I had a client I did in 2018, and he sent his father to me because he wanted his father to experience it.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the whole process. And because you feel like you are, I'm imagining, of course, I haven't been there yet. I will be in January. I'm going to book something up with you, but when you come and get fitted for you get measured, every little part of you, like you feel like you're somebody important, right? And it's that whole experience of like feeling like a celebrity almost. Like, man, I'm getting a suit that's one of a kind, that's specific 100%. To me, and these people are kind of rolling out the red carpet as far as that experience goes, and it makes nothing but sense that this guy would want to get that for his dad. You know what I mean?
And the truth is, I don't always think about it like that, but you're right. We do make people feel like a celebrity.
Yeah.
Like when you see a celebrity go to a store, they shut the whole store down.
Right. Exactly.
Well, the way our showroom works is one person at a time.
Right.
Because the focus is on you and nobody else.
Yeah.
So you don't have a time limit. We sit down. We are literally joshing around and talking, conversing about anything, whatever, and just having fun, listening to music, good music, and drinking. And I've had consultations that go from an hour, because the average is 2. Yeah. Go from an hour to 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
Because we were just having a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's no rush. Like we're enjoying the moment and the experience, and you are the focal point. Yeah.
And I've had people want to come on the show, Bourbon and Brands, and like, okay, yeah, we'll set up a call, and not that there's anything wrong with podcasts that do that, but this is such a communal experience to me, and that's what this thing is built on. Right. Like, you and I can talk about things in a different manner and kind of go to a place that me and somebody with a phone or a Zoom call can't quite get to, sitting here and just enjoying whiskey together. And
eating chocolate.
Man. And see, that's the thing. That's the little secret tip, straight from Franklin Moss here, is get on that chocolate, little Hershey kiss before you taste the chocolate or before you taste the whiskey. And it kind of, I've never really, I've had chocolate with whiskey, right? Yeah. I've been to tastings where they have chocolate out. They got different kinds of food out. Yeah. Obviously, you want to avoid spicy foods when you're doing a whiskey tasting, but
unless it's smoked.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Anything smoked with whiskey is good, but a little chocolate with the whiskey, man, is a game changer.
But it has to be something you're familiar with. Mm-hmm. If it's your favorite whiskey, then unless it's smoked. Again, smoked whiskey.
Right. Which Knob Creek, I forgot to say, one of the offerings that I don't have out here is the 9-year, but they also have a smoked maple, which is obviously, as you can imagine, very heavy on the maple syrupy taste. So if you see that, you might pick that up. But I've enjoyed the Knob Creek. What do you think? Is your favorite the single barrel?
Actually, the single barrel, yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, this 15-year...
I was going to say I would try the 15.
Is hard to... the 15-year is hard to find. And at least you're not going to see it on a shelf very often. And I was fortunate enough to get this off of somebody, a friend of mine, and finally got it recently. And so timing worked out perfect. You want to try some? All right, you got some left in your...
I want to...
You're going to try some of that smoke wagon, ain't you?
Yeah, I want to smoke. Is it smoky?
There's not very many bourbons that aren't a little smoky to me in my palate. Everybody's palate different, but so it does have a little bit, but the name and everything kind of is homage to the old West. Those wagon cooks and all of that. That's I believe out of Nevada. Las Vegas actually is where smoke wagon's made.
I got a question for you.
Yeah. What's your question?
I feel like you already have it, but I'm going to ask anyways.
Okay.
Uncle Nearest?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have the 1820. So crazy cool story. Uncle Nearest is a distillery in Nashville area. It's like just outside Nashville. I went there back in, when was that? It was a few months ago, but went there and interviewed, did a video with Sherry Moore. Nice. Now, Sherry Moore, do you know Sherry Moore? You know that name?
Yeah.
So she is Jack Daniel's, I think it's Jack Daniel's nephew's granddaughter. Or she's got some relation. Yeah. And she worked at Jack Daniel's for forever, like 30 some years, and was really the reason that it grew to where it is today. It's the second largest whiskey company in the world, next to Johnny Walker. So, she was head of whiskey distribution. She was head of the whiskey process. She had her finger on the pulse of the whole thing. She grew Jack Daniel's immensely. Retired, and didn't retire long because the folks from Fawn Weaver from Uncle Nearest hit her up and brought her out of retirement to come and help them launch Uncle Nearest. Yeah. So we hung out with her, drank some of her private stash of whiskey, and just had a good old time with her there. And that distillery is probably one of the coolest distilleries I've ever been to.
Nice.
It's an old horse farm. So like the offices look like stables. Like when you walk down, they're like where the horses would be, like those old doors, like for a stall door.
Yeah.
And it's like an office in there. And so it's just cool looking, man. And they've really redone that place, and it's just like a cool spot. So if you're ever going to look at distilleries, if you're in Nashville, man, I would definitely hit that place up. So
I'll be in Nashville soon.
Yeah. So how did you hear about Uncle Nearest?
So how did I hear about Uncle Nearest?
Do you know who Uncle Nearest is?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. But I don't know how I heard Uncle Nearest. I have no idea.
Like the name? Nearest, it's Nearest Green is his name.
Nearest Green is his real name?
Yeah, that's his real name.
Okay.
And Nearest Green was a slave that the Daniels family had, and he taught Jack Daniels how to distill whiskey.
Right.
And so it's cool. And he's like one of his best friends, man.
Yeah.
And so Jack Daniels and a lot of good Kentucky whiskeys come from slaves, man, who really knew what they were doing.
That's interesting.
And it's such a cool story, man, because I mean, they didn't see them as, what a lot of America will think of as like when they hear the word slave, it's like, oh man, this is but dude, that was like one of his best friends, man.
Right.
And taught him. In every picture you see Jack Daniels, you see him right there next to him, man. It's just really cool, man.
So he was basically a friend that he just happened to have purchased.
Yeah, exactly. No, his family, he purchased it. They worked for the family at their property. And Jack Daniels wasn't any good whiskey back then. I mean, it was like pre-prohibition. It was just, it wasn't what it is today by any means. And he taught him how to distill because Jack Daniels didn't know anything about distilling whiskey. And so he taught him how to do everything he knows how to do. So
I'll tell you, Jack Daniels is the beginning of my whiskey world.
Yeah, man, it's a cool place. We went there when we were there in the Nashville Lynchburg area, so we went there and we did a barrel select there actually, where we tasted some barrels and picked one, and so those bottles should be coming here in the next couple months, which would be really cool. From there, so
this was recent.
Yeah, this was probably 3 or 4 months ago.
Nice
when I was there, so
like real nice. This is
So. Yeah, man, I appreciate the time, bro, coming in and sitting and chilling and hanging out. Love hearing your story. And
I was going to show you this.
Oh my,
it's random.
Look at that.
This is me being random because I've been drinking. when I'm drinking, I get random. This is Franklin and Anthony. Yeah, this is a photo that we made.
Can see this.
A pocket square out of a hummingbird.
That's a hummingbird. Yeah. So is this the logo?
Yeah,
it's kind of like the brand. Yeah. Okay. Man, I'm telling you, I'm not even kidding you. You probably get this all the time, but I'm going to get a suit made with you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to come down there.
No, I believe you.
I'm going to set up something with Dominique, and we're going to, and probably my partner, Anthony, we're going to come down there and we're going to get some suits made because, we're the guys that show up at the events with like something from Express or Kohl's or wherever we could find something, And I usually try to make up my own, like I'm kind of like you, like early days, like balling on a budget type guy. Hey. I'll go to like, last year we got this big Christmas ball thing that we go to here in Burleson, and it's kind of like everybody shows up in their nice clothes and everything. Mm-hmm. And so last year I went to like 4 different Western thrift stores and kind of came up. I got a vest and like a coat, and then like a bolo, and then like my flat brim, and then so I tried to like do my own thing, but still on a budget, and so I would definitely have need for a truly custom that like fit like exactly kind of what's in my head, of like a blend between like a nod to old Western, but also with like a modern vibe to it. You know what I mean?
So I made a suit for a friend of mine named Simon.
Okay,
he's a singer, and
Simon Cowell.
No, not that one. Not that guy. But
you thought for a second, you're like, what?
I was like, was it Simon Cowell? No. But he had yellow roses to rep it for Texas.
Okay.
In the inside of his jacket, and then he also had on his shirt stitched on the embroidery. I did a yellow rose.
Nice.
And he turned his jacket inside out and wore it at the wedding, and it was
it
was very it's very cool.
See, we've got a family brand for our ranch, and I'd love to get some shirt with the brand on it.
I've done that,
and then like something, we'll just have to get together and figure it out, man. Because I would want you to like do your thing with it, but like just with a little bit of input. You know, like you're saying, you want your clients to kind of be every step, and I'm like, well, I don't know how to look as cool as you, so I want you to kind of pick what's going to look cool.
So in all honesty, I have some clients that just say, hey, Frank, make me a suit.
Right.
And they say, just create it.
Yeah.
So
based on what you know about me, make a suit.
Yeah, just off a conversation and just understanding who I'm talking to or where they're going. Like this guy was going on a European cruise, so he wanted a suit that fit in, like on the Europe trip. So I created these. I made about 5 or 6 suits for him and some jackets. And he said he got compliments everywhere he went. But I get that, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately. Fortunately, I get that often.
Yeah, because you get to get creative.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But there's a lot of pressure too. You're like, man, I want them to love it. No pressure?
No pressure.
Just confidence.
Because you've already told me. So if you don't like it, I don't know. You told me to do it.
Yeah, you told me. That's true.
I don't know.
I feel you on that with the Brandland stuff, man. We get people the same thing. Like, I'm not the creative. You make the logo. You do what you want to do. Yeah. And then they do it, and then 9 times out of 10 they love it. But if they don't, like, you told me to.
That's it. Hey, I did what you asked.
I did what you asked, man. So yeah. All right, bro. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to your fam, and I appreciate you coming into the studio.
I appreciate
and hanging
being
out,
invited.
Man. So
I hope I didn't bore everybody.
Heck no, man, dude. This is exciting stuff. Franklin and Anthony.
Yes, sir.
You go on your website, franklinanthony.com.
Yes, sir.
Is that what it is? Okay. And Black Coffee in Fort Worth. If you're on the east side, stop in and grab a cup of coffee.
And then I should have said something about this earlier. I have a nonprofit.
How did we not get into nonprofit? I knew you had a nonprofit.
It's called Community Frontline.
Okay.
And we do everything.
Everything.
From economic development to resources to place relationships to I don't know.
What's that site?
Communityfrontline.com. Communityfrontline.com.
Okay. Communityfrontline.com.
I've been drinking.
Man, we should have talked about this at the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah.
Community Frontline, and we got Black Coffee, and we got
Franklin and Anthony.
Yes, sir. Man, you're busy as I am.
I don't know.
Man, we got a lot of irons in the fire, but it's all good,
true.
Man.
Yeah.
So, man, I've enjoyed the time. I've enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better. I hope everybody listening in have enjoyed it as well. So, man, I'm excited to see what you do in the new year. I know you got some cool stuff coming out, and I can't wait to see it. And I'm booking something up to get me a suit, man.
Do you want to drop a verse for us before we go?
Shoot, no, man. I want you to. I want to hear some of these rapping skills.
No, it's
back there. Our producer Anthony, do you got a beat available that you could just throw on for us? 10
years old, and
we're fresh.
You don't have one. That's okay.
All right,
I was gonna drop it.
Is there something on Spotify?
No.
Yes, there is. What do we look up on Spotify to hear your rap skills?
Too good. Quite Frank.
Quite Frank. Okay, so everybody check out Quite Frank on Spotify. And we're going to go ahead and shut her down, but we're going to get this smoke wagon out. Let's get it out. Let's pop it open, man. Let's get to drinking on it.